Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Hello, hello.
Morning.
Happy Wednesday, 29th. All right. Glad to see everybody. How's it going, Patrick? Megan? All right. Good morning. Good morning. Awesome. Well, hey, I'm going to turn it over to Jackie. She's our moderator today. Jackie, how are you?
I'm so great. I'm so great. Thank you so much, Tom.
Awesome.
You guys, yeah, I'm super excited about our subject today. Everybody's talking about it. Clients are now starting to come to agents and ask the question, what's going on with this NAR DOJ lawsuit? And you guys, knowledge is power. And I was reminded of a quote this morning. When you can't change the direction of the wind, adjust your sails. And so we have the awesome Beef Wellington here with us today. Beef, I'm excited to hear from you and get more information about this. And you guys, get your pen and paper out, get your questions ready, because we got some powerful information to share. Beef is a regional training manager with Career Compass and has some information to share. So Beef, let's go ahead and just turn it over to you. And introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, and share with us some information about this lawsuit. Also, how can we adjust our sales, and what's been settled, and also like what changes are looming in the future. So I'm going to turn it over to you, quit talking and have at it, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. My name is Wellington Pendel II. Everybody calls me Beef Wellington, like the food. So, when your first name is Wellington, you can't really get it. So for the Career Compass, which as far as California and the West Coast is the #1 live real estate success seminar and the #1 fastest growing coaching and mentoring program, our C4 program on the West Coast, and we're expanding to many other states. I'm in Hawaii right now, and we're going to be expanding to the East Coast as well. So that's who we are. We basically do seminars, live seminars, 2-day seminars, which are amazing. Tom's been to several of them, and we just have a great time. And they're real estate agent success seminars. They teach you tools and techniques you can't learn anywhere else. I'll kind of give you a few here today, as well as it also renews your license with our independent third-party affiliate company. And then once you come to the seminar, you get to come back for free for life forever. So it's great training, networking, license renewal, and we even have an open bar. So it doesn't get any better than that. So that's kind of who we are. I'm hoping that a lot of people are familiar with us. If you're not familiar with us, feel free to ask some questions or go to our website, which is just the company name, thecareercompass.com. So as far as the lawsuit goes, I think the first thing we should probably do, I could go ahead and give you a PowerPoint presentation where I can just kind of answer questions. The net of this, and I'll just kind of jump right into it since we have limited time here today. The net is that back in the Trump administration, there was this case was being tried. This case was being considered by the government. And what happened was the Trump administration basically says to the National Association of Realtors, you guys need greater transparency, explanations of where this money's going. I mean, when somebody sells $1 million house, which Tom does every single day, and there's a 6% commission on it, that's $60,000. Well, the National Association of Realtors says, please don't sue us. Everything will be fine. We'll go ahead and agree to greater transparency, more information. We'll adjust how the buyer's agent commission happens and everything else like that. And the whole case was settled. January 2021, and guess what happens? The Biden administration comes in and basically pulls out of the agreement that the Trump administration had with the National Association of Realtors under the guise of saying, we would like to have the ability to pursue future antitrust lawsuits against this group, which is the National Association of Realtors. So the whole thing got opened up again. Shortly after that, the case in Missouri, which you've all heard about, the Sitzer Burnett case, was filed. And the Department of Justice goes, well, this is a good place to start. So they jumped, and here's what the net was. Was there a conspiracy? Was there collusion between the National Association of Realtors and all the brokerages? And when we're talking about all the brokerages, we're talking about the big four, and I'll talk about who that is in a second, to keep commissions high. So was there collusion? Was there a conspiracy to keep commissions at a high level? Because, for example, we have commissions anywhere ranging from 4.5 to 5 to 6, even the 7% technique, which many of you know because we teach that at the Career Compass, compared to places like Canada, which has 1%, or Australia that has 0, or Europe where it's just kind of a wild, wild west. Well, what they did is they said there's collusion, and the whole collusion is based on the fact that in our MLS system, you must put a commission on the buying side. Well, what does that mean? That means that the seller is forced, because you got to put at least $1. So there's no question of what they can do. You got to put at least $1 on the MLS's buy side. So that means there's collusion. So that was the basis of the case. And then they brought to court some training manuals. I won't mention who it was from, some training manuals that said when they trained, some of these big brokerages trained their agents, things like do not show anything under a 2% commission in the MLS. That's conspiracy. So there's the ultra Cliff Notes version of this case. And the case was against the National Association of Realtors, as well as Keller Williams, Berkshire Hathaway, Anywhere, and now Anywhere is the parent company. It's the old Realgy parent company, Coldwell Banker, Century 21, Weatherby's, Better Homes and Gardens, and a few others, as well as Remax. And that was the Sitzer Burnett case. So that basically is what opened up. So is there any questions kind of about what's happened so far? Anybody want to chime in and ask kind of questions? What's going on? If not, I can kind of keep going here. Okay, so that case gets settled, but not before Remax and Anywhere, and again, Anywhere is the parent company, Coldwell Banker and Century 21, ask to settle their part of the case by giving a certain dollar settlement. For Remax, it was $50 million, and for Anywhere, it was, and that basically their involvement in the Sitzer Burnett case, with the soft agreement that the National Association of Realtors and those two brokerages would not be sued in any other state, which by the way is not going to happen. Now, prior to that judgment, prior to the verdict coming out, and I'll talk about this, prior to the verdict coming out, 3 mandates that the Department of Justice mandated nationwide for real estate agents involved in any MLS system. And here's what they were. Number one, you cannot tell customers that your commission on the buy side is years. We were like, oh, Mr. and Mrs. Bear, guess what you can do? You can hire me to the perfect house for you, and I'm going to keep my ear to the grindstone here, and I'm going to find the perfect house, and I'm going to research it, go ahead and show you houses and help you write and negotiate for you and help you get financing and help you close, blah, blah, blah. And here's the best part. It's free, because the seller is paying the buyer's agent commission. No longer say that because it is free. It's built into the price of. That's number one. You can lose your license nationwide in any MLS system if you say that. Number two, there can be no MLS system of any kind. Okay? There can be no system of any kind in the United States where you can search based on commission. So no MLS system can function where you can search the listings based on commission. And the third one, which is the big one, is as of about a month ago when this verdict came out, there can be no mandate, no brokerage. This is the big one, even for EXP and anybody else. No brokerage can mandate membership in the National Association of Realtors, the state, it's California's CAR, and the local boards. So you no longer have to be a member of our CAR and your local single state. So those are the 3 things that happened. And that's what everybody has questions about. Says, wait a minute, how do I get MLS access if I'm not a member of NAR, CAR, and the local board? Well, many people don't realize this, that your MLS subscription has nothing to do with membership at NAR and CAR. It doesn't. It's an independent thing. So that's going forward, and that's what's going to be happening. Now, just to kind of finish up this little segment of it, the verdict came down, and it was 1.8 billion. It's B with a B, billion with a B. $1.8 billion against National Keller Williams and Berkshire Hathaway. Will there be appeals? Of course there will be, but the problem with the appeals is this is a federal court, and if you want to appeal a federal decision, you've got to post a bond for the exact amount of the amount that you're appealing. So they have to come up with $1.8 billion. So that's basically takes us up through the end of the Sitzer-Burnett case. And that's basically what's going on. So again, Tom or anybody, is there anybody have any quick questions that I answer?
Do we know if they've posted the
I hope
bond?
people can
for
still
the
hear me.
appeal? Beef, do we know if any, if
They have
any
not
of-
yet.
if any of the defendants have posted a bond to make that appeal? Can you hear me?
He said they have not yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I hear it. The bond has not yet been posted. Okay. So I mean the verdict just came out a couple of weeks ago. That's what we call the big three, and that was the verdict. Now, here's the biggest problem with all of this. That basically sets a case precedent. What's a case precedent? A case precedent means that now some jury, some judge, some ruling somewhere has established that the National Association, as well as all the big four brokerages, have engaged in a conspiracy. So that case precedent can be transferred to any other state. Okay. So in other words, within 1 week of that verdict coming out, within 1 week, what happened was another class action lawsuit on behalf of buyers was filed in the state of Illinois within 1 week of the verdict. And it's for 10 times the amount that was in Missouri. I mean, it's for $10 billion. Now, yesterday, ready for this? Yesterday, a copycat lawsuit got filed in Georgia on behalf of home buyers. So this is going to happen in every single state. And here's the problem. The problem is, in the initial Sitzer-Burnett case, only the four big were named. So in other words, Keller Williams, Berkshire Hathaway, Anywhere, and Remax. Well, in these other cases, they're not limiting to the big ones, even though that was the case precedent, because here's why. We all participate in the MLS. So we're all guilty. If you have sold or bought a house in the last 20 years, anytime, by association, you are guilty of the same conspiracy that was proven in Missouri. So now in these other cases, all the brokerages, including EXP and HomeSmart and all Home Services America and all the small brokerages are now being named in the suits, and that can happen because that case precedent is based on the MLS system. So that's the problem, and these things are going to be unbelievably. There's going to be so many of them. I mean, it's free money. Any lawyer, as of right now, any lawyer, whether it be a Department of Justice lawyer or a private lawyer, can fire up their laptop and sue any brokerage that's been in the business in the last 20 years, can sue any brokerage for any amount of money on behalf of anybody who's bought or sold a house or a group of people. And what do lawyers do? They sue, and that's what's going to happen. So let me kind of explain what this means. Does this mean that realtors are going to be out of business? No, it doesn't, because here's why. Who's going to get sued? Unfortunately, it's going to be the brokers and the owners of these brokerages. The realtors are probably not going to be getting sued because, one, they didn't own the listing. Who owns the listing? The listing is owned by the broker. So that's who not only has the deep pockets, but also is the one who owned the listing itself. Even on the buy side, it's the broker who's paid the buyer's agent commission and then gives it to the buyer's agent. So the agents are probably not going to be getting sued. One, they don't have the money. There's a saying in lawyering: don't sue people that don't have money. And number two, they didn't own the listing. So the culpability is going to be on the broker. So every broker in the world right now, well, in the United States right now, has a big target on their back as far as lawsuits, unfortunately, because there's going to be a big shakeup. So what does that mean? That means, unfortunately, if you're a broker, you should probably be nervous. If you're an agent, it probably represents the biggest change in real estate that you're ever going to experience in your life. And it's not going to be buyer's agents who save buyer's agency, because here's what's going to happen. Countrywide, I mean, all the way through the United States, they're going to be removing the rule in the MLS that you have to put a buyer's commission in. That's going to be gone, because that was part of the conspiracy for the first time. Because if the seller is forced to put a commission on the buy side, so in other words, the buyer's agent is being paid by the seller, someone who is working against their interest, because the buyer's agent is trying to get the best price, the seller is trying to get the highest price. That's collusion. That's conspiracy. That's what they proved. So what's going to happen is all the rules in the MLS that you have to put at least $1 in the MLS will go away. Does that mean that buyer's agency goes away? It does. And by the way, don't listen to any of these pundits online or on YouTube or on the TV that say all you got to do as a buyer's agent is improve your skills and you'll be worth the commission. That is absolutely wrong. I'm sorry, it is. That ship has sailed years and years ago. For the last 40 years, we've been telling people that our commission on the buy side is free. We are not going to say, hey, look, I've improved my skills now. Now I'm worth the 2.5% on the buy side. That's not going to happen. What's going to happen is listing agents will save buyer's agency. Listing agents. I know that sounds very counterintuitive. I'm going to say that again. Listing agents will save buyer's agency. And here's why. Only the agents who know advanced tools and techniques like the EAT, the PAT, the lawyer letter, the 7% technique. For everybody here, if you do not know the 7% technique, and Tom knows well, if you do not know what the 7% technique is, you need to run to a Career Compass seminar or to our C4 program so you can learn that. That is a revolution in this industry. People like Tom Daves, Marguerite Crispillo, and all these big agents have been using this technique for years, and it's literally magic. And it is the one thing that's going to be saving buyer's agency, because you must have tools and techniques to show the seller that it's in their interest to put a commission on the buy side. Most realtors out there are going to go, oh, well, this is more money in the buyer's pocket because they won't have to pay a commission on the buy side. Wrong. That is not wrong. That is a system to drive down equity. You must be able to convince numerically, because your customers are not going to be like, oh, well, I'll go ahead and pay you a commission because I've known you for so long. That's going right out the window, folks. I hate to tell you this, but your relationships are now secondary to the amount of value and money you can bring to a transaction. They already have been told by the Department of Justice that you've been overcharging them for decades. You're going to need to show them on a piece of paper with the spreadsheets that we give you at the Career Compass, how putting a commission on the buy side actually puts more money in the seller's pocket. I know many of you don't understand that, and please do us all a favor. Learn that principle. Many of you do know it. Many of you have been to the Career Compass. I'm telling you, it's going to be a bloodbath, and the agents who are able to do that are going to be the ones who not only survive this, but expand their business and increase their market share by leaps and bounds. And that's what's going to be happening, because these lawsuits are going to be happening everywhere. And as a real estate agent, if you can show your sellers that putting a commission on the buy side puts more money in their pocket, and we will show you how to do this very, very simply, that is the agent that's going to be succeeding in the future. Please don't do that. Please don't run and say, hey, list with me. Buyer's agency is not illegal anymore. Please don't do that. That is just going to destroy the industry coming and going. So I'll go ahead. I know that was a lot of information. I'll go ahead and pause and see if anybody would like to ask a question about any of those principles.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So obviously NAR dues and will be optional, looks like. So probably half of the agents will not be paying the dues anymore, which means NAR is losing half of the revenue plus 1.8 and probably more billions in settlement. So chances, they're going to be in trouble, may go under, down the road, we may not have NAR anymore. Who knows? But the question is, so if the agent doesn't pay NAR dues today, they don't have access to the forms. Right? I mean, one of the benefits of NAR, you have win forms, and then they can charge for win forms $1,000 a year, which is membership dues, pretty much. Or how it's going to be. I know not every real estate agent is a realtor, especially commercial agents, right? So, but that will probably change too, right? So we will be able to use different forms now. What do you think about that?
Well, I would just like to chime in, NAR has done so much for our industry and they've done so much for our clients.
Good question. I always get this question. All right. You're 100% correct. You said one of the benefits of one of
So is NAR perfect? No, but they have done a lot for the consumers, and they've done a lot for us as real estate agents to help us unify our standards, unify our business, and plus, a lot of people don't know NAR is the largest lobbying entity in the world, and they have lobbied for our behalf. They've also lobbied for the behalf of the consumers, and they have squelched, I'll tell you, they have squelched so many bills that were, not in the best interest of the consumers or real estate agents. So it looks like we lost Beef there. So who else?
He's back. He just got
back?
back in.
Okay,
And you
no.
guys just,
Tom,
Yeah.
you're right. I know the benefits of NAR, but still that doesn't answer my question because I have agents right now. They wanted to join. They don't want to pay the dues. So how are they going to be able to write offers? They don't have access to car forms, right? So that's a valid question. I mean, that's not a question about benefits of NAR. I'm a member of NAR, will continue to be a member of NAR, but a bunch of agents, new agents, right? They don't want to pay $700-800 a year, right? But what about forms? How are they going to put the RPA?
Beef?
it looks like he
Okay. As
dropped
far
out.
as
Guys, I'm
forms
so
go,
sorry. Yeah.
Beef,
Yeah.
maybe you can turn off your
Yeah.
video, turn off your
I'm
camera.
back.
We're not going to be able to see your moneymaker, but maybe you'll be able to share with audio.
Okay. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
we're good now.
Okay. As far as forms go, you're absolutely right. One of the benefits of car and NAR, if you want to make a list, is the car forms. And what I'm telling agents is, if that's the only reason that you're in car and NAR, and I have a slightly different view of car and NAR than some of the brokers out there, and I know that car and NAR traditionally and historically has done a lot for realtors, but they also partnered with Zillow. They also allowed Opendoor, OfferPad, and all these other fintech companies to become and agents and have a voting seat at the table in Chicago, which did not help realtors. So I have kind of a different view of R&R, and my view is amongst a lot of people that think at least in the last 10 years, NAR has in a lot of ways kind of turned its back on us. And I know that's a controversial position, but I want to talk. Yeah, one of the benefits, if you want to call it a benefit.
Yeah, we keep losing Beef there. So now would be a good time for me to announce that we do have Beef Wellington that will be in Roseville coming up on the 19th of December. It's a Tuesday. If you're anywhere nearby, or I would even hop on a plane to fly here to Roseville. It's from 10 a.m. Pacific until noon, plus there's lunch, and invite others. It's a great event. So that's Tuesday the 19th. It's going to be at American Pacific Mortgage, and we'll send out that info. In fact, Eric, could you put that in the link? Because Beef is going to unpack this entire lawsuit and the new ones that are coming up, what we say to buyers, what we say to sellers, and how we can take advantage of this opportunity. Hey, this is an opportunity. There are so many agents that are freaked out and they're frozen because of this. It's a huge opportunity. And I know that every up and down in our business opens up another opportunity. So Beef, let's go back to you and see if we can hear you and see if we can kind of wrap this up.
Trevor has a question,
Yes.
and I have a comment as well.
Yeah. Let's Trevor. Trevor, what's your question?
Okay. Sorry about the internet here. I'm not only Yeah, not only am I in Hawaii, but it's also raining out here.
Yeah, we
So
feel
first the
sorry
forms, we
for
just kind
you.
of get the forms.
You're
You will not
suffering
have
in
access to
Maui.
forms. California, Lone Wolf, which is the owner of WinForms, is more than happy to take your money and give you access to forms. Yeah, it's a little bad here. But the other thing I want to say is please don't yourself to the car, guys. There are 6 or 7 different sets of forms that I can think of just off the top of my head for the First Tuesday form, which has 360 different forms in it, which is completely free. There are many different forms. Zillow doesn't use car forms, neither does Open Door, OfferPad, or any of the rest of them. So divorce yourself. You have to be using car forms. There's plenty of different RPAs out there. In fact, I can show you an RPA that looks identical to the car form, it just doesn't have the car logo at the top. If you ask any transaction coordinator what they really need to forms, they'll say it could be written on a napkin. It makes no difference whatsoever. As long as the information is there. But realtors have been trained for many, many years that we have to use car forms, and we countries that don't use any standardized forms, they just write things up. As long as the transaction coordinator needs, they can create the file. So please try from the idea that you must pay massive amounts of dues every year just to have access. Our lawyer Compass looked at most of the car forms, and they're not even that good. I mean, no disrespect to car, but most car forms are not even that great. I mean, the RPA has plenty of holes in it, in my opinion. Please don't marry yourself to the idea that you have to have car forms. There's different forms. You residential purchase agreement and get 5 or 6 different versions that look like the car form without the logo at the top. So that is the new. And here's the other thing, guys. It's not just the brokerages that are going to be sued. It's the California Association of Realtors. It's the Nevada Association of Realtors. It's the Texas Realtors. The single Association of Realtors is going to be sued for billions, including, ready for this? Including MLSs. They held they're the ones who are holding the information. They can be sued too. There's a real plausible scenario here. The MLSs are sued out of business. What are we going to?
Yeah, let's go ahead and see if Trevor,
Yeah, go
why don't
ahead.
you,
And
yeah, go ahead,
and
Trevor.
I want to comment before we wrap
Okay,
up as
sounds
well.
great.
But hey, Tom,
Yeah,
would you request that Beef gets us links to other formed resources and post them into Atomic Habits for our team?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've got them in the chat box. We'll go ahead and put those in Atomic Habits. You bet.
That'd be
Okay,
Trevor.
Trevor.
So since Beef's gone, I was going to ask him his opinion, but Don or Dave or whoever would want to interject here. But my question is I totally agree with Beef that really the listing agent is probably going to be the person that saves the buyer's agent commission. But with that being said, without a crystal ball, obviously, I just wanted to get his opinion as to how he thought it may play out, because there are going to be a lot of short-sighted agents. I mean, even before this lawsuit, there were many short-sighted agents trying. I'm in Colorado. We don't have dual brokerage, but we do have something called transaction brokerage. So I could see a lot of short-sighted agents just trying to get more commission on the listing side and ace out a buyer's agent. So I just wondered what his opinion was as far as that playing out and really getting agents on board that there is a lot of value in paying a buyer's agent ultimately.
Well, Trevor, I would speak to that by saying that I think we've all been taught and understand that price is a function of supply and demand. Okay, so if the listing agent is the only one bringing in the buyers, there's a high probability that the seller will not be able to sell their property for as much money because they're eliminating 99% of the buyer populace. And so I think it's a pretty easy argument to suggest there's value in including a buyer's agent and their buyers to the table and to the benefit of the seller. But how we articulate that, I think, is something we all need to be schooled on so that we do it in a compliant way. And so I don't think that we're going to see that part of it go away. It's just the law of supply and demand are far, far too strong for that. Actually, our system of competition and cooperation is in my mind, one of the best business structures in our entire society, of organizing literally 1 million people to cooperate in a sales event that's, for most people, the most important event in their lives. So I'm quite confident that we're going to get through this. It's going to be really interesting to see how it progresses. I'm sure it will bankrupt some companies. It is news to me that, according to Beef, that these guys are going to have to post a $1.8 billion bond in order to appeal. I presume that that's fractioned out amongst them, I hope. But that's quite a steep event that's going to have to occur. That might bankrupt some of them. I know that Anywhere is pretty laden with debt, for example. We don't have access to KW's books because they're not a public company. But that alone could sink them. The other thing, though, I think you guys, the way I'm looking at this, whenever things get really rough, one of the things that I ask myself is, well, what can I do? And one of the things that I'm becoming increasingly aware of is that if you're a broker right now, especially a big broker, man, I would have had my brokerage for sale like within 10 minutes of that verdict. Okay. I personally have been in conversation with a broker of over 1,000 agents that would not give me the time of day before that verdict came out. Okay, so if you guys want to think about, well, what can I do today to make this a win? It would be, obviously, increase your listing focus. I would say job one. Number two, learn how to articulate the value so you do save the buyer agency for your cooperating agents. And then number three, start identifying and get us in front of Tom and I, and the rest of your leadership team are happy to assist you with any independent broker. The bigger, the better. The bigger they are, the more probable they are of being named in the suit. So this is a time to be fearless, because it could end up you could end up landing a 500 agent brokerage that would not have given you the time of day before. So those are my 2 cents.
Awesome. Okay, Beef, any other final thoughts?
Well, I keep cutting out. I apologize for, it's Hawaii. It's tough here, No, I agree with what that gentleman said. If you're a brokerage, you're going to see a lot of people sell their brokerage, but the problem is who's going to buy right now, taking on all that liability. There's going to be lawsuits. Some of them are going to be settled. And he's right. When we talk about the lawsuits, the bigger the brokerage, the more likely they're going to be named in lawsuits. But everybody's going to be named. If you've been in business for anywhere in the last 5 to 10 years, and you've engaged in buyer's agency or listing, because it's the listing agent that put the commission up, the agency is the one that paid it, basically. You're probably going to get named in a suit, and a lot of these lawyers are going to say, okay, we'll sue you for $1 million and we'll settle for $200,000. Well, it doesn't take very many of those to put brokerages out of business, and that's what's happening. I think there's going to be a lot of brokerages because they're not going to have the liability going forward, but I think they're going to be going out of business. As an agent, from an agent standpoint, make sure you learn tools and techniques that show the value of what you can do both on the listing side and on the buying side. You must be able to show the seller, once again, numerically, why putting a commission on the buy side drives the price up, increases equity, and increases the comps in the area and puts more money in their pocket. That's going to be a very important thing. Otherwise, we're going to go back to pre-1994. Many people don't know this, but prior to 1994, there was no buyer's agency in the state of California and many other states. It's only about a 30-year-old thing. And if we go back to that, you're going to cut half of all this business overnight. So we must be able to, as listing agents, show value and show how the system works. And that's one of the things that that Gary Keller, as well as Ryan Gorman and all these other big guys on Capitol Hill, is get rid of the rule that you have to put a commission on the buy side, knowing that decimates the case from the Department of Justice, because now they can't prove collusion or conspiracy, knowing that wouldn't change our business any, because any good listing agent knows that they must put a commission, and a good commission, on the buy side to attract the best buyers and the best buyers agents to view their houses and make the best offers. I'll go ahead and leave it there.
All right,
Awesome.
well, we're looking forward to some information, maybe from you, Beef, on where we can access these trainings outside of, if you're not in the Roseville area. And you guys, just like, we're saying, every difficulty presents opportunity for those who adjust their sales accordingly. And that's why we're talking about this, to see what we can do to get better. And anyway, we want to thank you guys. I know we had some other questions. Maybe we can post them.
Can Stephanie
Well,
slip
Jackie,
in
I
her
appreciate
question
that.
real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, Stephanie. What's your question?
Yeah, I've just been curious, to Dawn's point, if someone is a brokerage owner at this point and they decide to close their business, what Dawn's alluding to is folding that into EXP, could they still be liable for past practices, or is it kind of that concept of like, don't sue somebody that doesn't have anything to sue?
Yeah, well, yes is the answer. I believe that they would still be liable, but just think about it from the attorney's perspective. If a corporation has been dismantled, and by the way, EXP isn't going to buy or take on any of those liabilities. They're just going to be transferring agents. We're in an extremely unique situation in that regard. And I think we're incredibly well positioned to take advantage of this incredible opportunity. But I'm just thinking, as an attorney, if I've got one live corporation or one that's been dismantled and the people have scattered and so have the agents, which one am I going to sue? Right.
Right.
And so that's why I say, if it were me and I owned, like I used to, a lot of brokerages, I would already have them for sale.
Right.
Or
But to be
transfer
clear on
over.
the message, we want to be careful to not give the impression to these brokerage owners that that closing their business would relieve them of any liability.
Excellent point. Yeah, no, for sure. And that's even legal advice. And so
Right.
you definitely don't want to go there.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's just be careful on what we're saying.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate it. Yeah. thecareercompass.com is the link where you can find more of opportunity for learning from Beef Wellington. Thank you so much for your time, you guys, and let's increase our skills and keep growing in our knowledge, because that knowledge is power. Anyway, everyone have an awesome day and an awesome rest of your week. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks
Thank
a lot.
you.
Thanks, Beef.
Thanks,
See
Jackie.
y'all
Great job.
later. Thank you. Bye now.